Fat loss is simple, but it's just not easy. And it's easy to get those two things confused, okay? The principles of fat loss, being in a calorie deficit, maintaining as much lean mass as you can, and being consistent are all pretty straightforward in theory, but in practice they can be pretty difficult. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through the 5 main factors for fat loss and give you some tips on how to make them more consistent. Okay, step 1, create a sustainable calorie deficit. Without a calorie deficit in place, you are not going to see any kind of fat loss result at all. Because if you are consistently consuming fewer calories than you need, your body has to tap into stored energy to make up the shortfall. That's what fat loss is. So you have to find a way to create a sustainable calorie deficit. Now, you should still make room for some of the foods you enjoy to help with you keeping on track and all the rest of it, but you need to have some kind of a plan in place. That's step 1. Have a plan of how you're going to build your meals for the week ahead. Step 2, don't drink your calories. It's easy to consume a lot of calories from drinks, which is a problem because you don't feel particularly satisfied after a drink. You often underestimate how many calories you've pulled in from those drinks, and swapping them for 0-calorie alternatives are just as refreshing, just as hydrating, but without the calorie hit. And then the final one, which is probably the hardest one to implement, is learn to pay attention to your hunger and satiety cues. So that's basically how hungry you feel before you eat a meal. It helps you figure out whether you're actually hungry before a meal, or whether you're eating out of habit or boredom, or whether you're thirsty, which can often be confused with actual hunger. The satiety cues, again, you're not looking to eat until you are completely stuffed, okay, that you couldn't eat another bite if you tried. You want to stop at around about 80% full, okay? That typically is more than enough for most people to feel very satisfied within 20 to 30 minutes after the meal finishes. Because the physical and chemical signaling from your stomach takes a bit of time to be interpreted by your brain, it's easy to go beyond the point of being satisfied with your meal. If you stop at about 80% full and check back in with yourself after 20 minutes, if you're still hungry, then by all means go and have some more food. But chances are you've eaten enough food, you'll feel pleasantly satisfied, and it's more than enough to keep you going until the next time you eat. Step 2, get enough protein. Your goal with fat loss is to lose as much weight as you can from fat stores while retaining as much lean mass as you can. Getting enough protein is a key component of that. Now, resistance training, which we'll talk about in a second, and getting enough protein into your diet signals your body to create or to repair lean tissue. Okay, your job is to retain as much of that lean tissue as you can. It'll give you the toned look that you're looking for. It will keep you as strong as possible for as long as possible, and it'll help protect your bones and joints for the long term. Aiming for around about 1.5 grams per kilo of body weight is a pretty good place to start for most people. That works out if you're about 80 kilos at about 120 grams per day. Now it's easy to split up into 3 or 4 servings throughout the day of manageable size. A couple of tips to help you with this one. Number 1, plan your meals around a good protein source. Now, for your 3 main meals of the day, plus any snacks, ask yourself, where is the protein in this? Now, that is a good default to have. You don't have to do it every meal. You know, if you're out with friends for coffee and cake, you don't have to worry about it being a protein cake, because let's face it, they taste crap. But for the majority of your meals, ask yourself where the protein source is. Now, good protein sources to aim for: lean meat, poultry, fish. If you're looking for a good vegetarian or vegan source, tempeh is pretty good. Dairy options such as Greek yogurt are good sources of protein that are easy to digest for most people. That's the first part. Ask yourself where your protein source is and try to build as many of your meals around that as you possibly can. The second tip for you is don't be afraid of supplements. Now, you know, supplements sometimes get a bad name because the association with bodybuilding and getting massive. They're just an easy way to supplement your diet with a little bit of extra protein. Now, that could be in the form of a protein powder, which could be a dairy-based one such as whey or casein. It could be a vegan one, which is a mixture of various plant proteins to give you a fuller amino acid profile. It doesn't really matter. Whatever suits your lifestyle and taste preferences. It could be in the form of a protein bar or a pre-made protein shake or homemade protein shake. They're easy ways, relatively low in calorie, that you can easily get 20 to 30 grams of extra protein in between meals to help supplement your dietary intake. Third, lift heavy things and do it often. Again, tying into your goal of fat loss and losing more weight from fat, retaining as much muscle as you can, resistance training is a key part of that. Okay, it's a big signaler for your body to repair and create muscle tissue, and helping you maintain as much of that as you possibly can, even in a calorie deficit. 3 tips to help you with that. 1, get a good plan. Okay, it doesn't have to be the best plan in the world. It doesn't have to be anywhere near what you might call optimal, but you have to have some kind of plan to follow. Without it, you end up just doing the same old things without making any real progress. And you end up kind of spinning your wheels. Now, you might make a little bit progress initially, but eventually, without a good plan, your results are going to start to tail off. Second of all, schedule your training sessions. It's easy when we're busy to put off training for when we're going to be less busy, but by scheduling it into your day and into your week, it makes it easier for you to stick to those sessions. And thirdly, focus on improving performance rather than just aiming to get yourself sweaty or sore, or both. Those are definitely part of the process. If you're not getting sore a little bit now and again, then you probably aren't pushing yourself as hard as you need to, but it's not the goal of training to get yourself sore. The goal of training is to improve your ability to move weight, to move fast, to improve your fitness, or whatever it is. So look at ways you can improve your fitness. Now, that might be increasing the number of reps you do with a certain weight. It might be increasing the load that you use for a certain exercise, or the exercise variation that you use within your training program. But look for ways to improve that performance and make that your focus. 4, walk more. Okay, as we go longer into a calorie deficit, your body tends to want to slow things down a little bit in order to retain or to save as much energy as possible, because it doesn't understand that you're doing it on purpose. All it perceives is a threat. Therefore, you have to make sure that you keep moving as much as you currently do, or increasing that if you don't move already. Walking is a great way to improve your basic aerobic fitness. It can improve your mood, it can improve your sleep, which we'll talk about in a second, by getting you outside into natural light early. It can be a great mood booster, great energizer. There's no reason why you couldn't get, or you shouldn't be getting out for a walk more often. A couple of tips to help with that one. 1, again, plan it into your day. If you're working from home, for example, and you normally would be commuting to work, why not take yourself out for a virtual commute? So you take yourself out for a 20-minute walk first thing in the morning, or to time with getting back into your desk for the start of the workday. It's time that you would have been using otherwise anyway, that you're not going to be working with, and it gets you some fresh air, it gets your energy up, it gets your creativity going, so you attack your work day with a little bit more gusto than you might otherwise. You could also schedule it into your lunchtime break, so that you come back to the afternoon session of work feeling more energized and more ready to attack the afternoon. Give yourself a target to aim for. Now, I prefer to use a range of values rather than a set number. That way, anywhere in the range is still considered a win, and you're not considering it a failure if you don't hit, say, 10,000 steps. If you give yourself a window of, say, 7 to 10,000 steps, it gives you a much bigger range. So if you're a little bit pushed for time, you can still get the lower number. If you have a little bit more time, you can hit the top number or go beyond it. But trying to get out and walk more keeps your energy out part of the equation up, so it helps with the calorie deficit as well. Finally, sleep more. Sleep is a massively underappreciated factor when it comes to fat loss. Not only does it help you make better decisions regarding food and exercise throughout the day, it reduces hunger hormone signaling, and it increases satiety between meals. So you feel less hungry, you feel more satisfied between meals, which again ties back up into creating a sustainable calorie deficit. A couple of tips to help with this one. first of all, set your room up for sleep. So remove as much tech from there as possible, remove any other distractions from there, make it as dark as you can. Keep the temperature relatively cool, and make sure you invest in good mattresses, good pillows, good duvets, in order to give yourself the best environment you can for sleep. Secondly, try to make your bedtime and wake up times as consistent and as routine as you possibly can, even at weekends. If you feel like you need to sleep more at the weekend, it suggests that you're not getting enough sleep through the week, and that's an area that you need to focus on. The easiest way that I try to get clients to approach this is look at what time you need to be up in the morning. So say you need to be up by 7 a.m. Work back about 8 hours from then, so you know you need to be asleep by about 11. You probably want to be in bed about half hour before that to help you get into a more relaxed state for sleeping. And so you want to start your pre-bed routine maybe an hour before bed. So set an alarm to trigger that process. So you're starting to switch off tech, you hopefully stopped work for the evening long before then, you've got a blue screen filter on, or blue light filter on your tech that you are going to still be using, you've dimmed the lights, and you're starting to get your mind into the idea that sleep is coming. And the more routine you can make it, the more easy it is to make it part of your daily habit.